Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a returning listener, it's great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, we're really glad you joined us. We hope you like what you hear. So, our website is for people that want to learn something new or make themselves a little bit better every day. This is a place for thinkers, for doers, and self-leaders who are tired of excuses and ready to take full control of their lives. Today, we're talking about something that affects every one of us at some point in our lives, no matter how strong or how successful we seem to be. Talking about fear and anxiety. Those are emotions that everybody feels at some point. But let me be blunt, fear and anxiety will steal your life if you let them. They don't just make you nervous, they make you small. They keep you in your comfort zone. They keep you overthinking. They keep you stuck. But here's the truth. Fear is natural. It's normal. And it's beatable. You don't get rid of any fear by waiting. You get rid of fear by moving and taking action. So in this episode, we're breaking down 5 battle-tested tips to help you fight fear and anxiety, plus real-world stories and tools you can use starting today. So let's just jump right into it from there. Tip number 1 is name it to tame it. Fear loves the shadows. It grows when it's vague, when it's unspoken, when it stays in your head. But when you name it, when you define exactly what you're afraid of, it starts to lose power. That's the phrase in the psychology, name it to tame it. And it works. We'll give you an example. In public speaking, most people say, I'm just nervous. But when they dig deeper, the real fear is something like, I'm afraid I'll freeze and look like an idiot. Once that fear is specific, it becomes manageable. You can prepare for it. You can reframe it. So your action step here is the next time you feel that tightening in your chest or your mind start to race, stop and write down what you're actually afraid of. Be brutally honest with yourself when you write it down. And then ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario from that particular issue? 90% of the time, the worst isn't nearly as bad as your brain makes it feel. If you name it and you confront it, you can start to get over it and you can start to take action and pushing through the fear and anxiety that many times will stop you from taking the actions that will help you. Okay? Tip number 2 is use your body to calm your mind. Fear doesn't just live in your thoughts. It lives in your nervous system. Your heart races, your breathing shortens, your muscles tense up. That's your fight or flight system doing its job. But here's the hack. You can flip the switch manually. Fight or flight used to be much more important than it is now. When we were living in a cave and we had to be worried about a saber-toothed tiger coming eating us and our family. That doesn't exist anymore. Our existence is a lot safer now, but that fight or flight mentality and instinct still exists. So how do you control it? Well, what is it? Let's give an example of what it is. Navy SEALs use a technique called box breathing during high stress situations. Inhale for 4 seconds. You hold that breath for 4 seconds. You exhale for 4 seconds, and you hold that exhale for 4 seconds. What that does is slows your heartbeat down. It calms your brain down and helps you regain control of your nervous system. It literally is a reset button for your physical being. Breathing techniques. If you don't like box breathing, there's other ways to do it. We talk a lot about on this channel about what we call a cleansing breath. A deep breath in and a deep exhale out. We used to do it before every pitch we threw when we played baseball. That's a high stress, high tense environment. And if you don't learn how to control your body and control yourself, you can't perform at the level you need to. So we use breathing to help reset ourselves before every single pitch. So what's your action step on this one? The next time fear kicks in, do 2 minutes of 4x4 breathing. Bonus, splash cold water on your face. Hop in a cold shower. It shocks your system out of panic and into presence. All right? You're doing something to reset your system and take your mind off of what you're obsessing about. Fear is psychological. Fight it with your body, not just your thoughts. By taking physical actions like the ones we're talking about, you can regain control of your mind and refocus yourself on what you need to do. Tip number 3, learn to reframe uncertainty as opportunity. Anxiety almost always shows up when the future is unknown. We're anxious because we don't know what to expect. That job interview, that move you're getting ready to make, that first step in a new business. It all feels risky, right? You don't know what the outcome's going to be. But uncertainty isn't your enemy. It's the space where growth happens. It's where bold people live. Here's an example. We've talked about this on the channel before. Sarah Blakely was selling fax machines door to door. And by the way, she was selling fax machines door to door because she thought she was going to be a lawyer, but she started studying for the LSAT test and realized, hey, this isn't my thing. I'm not very good at this. I don't think I'm going to be successful here. So she went out and got a job, and she was selling fax machines door to door. She had absolutely no fashion background whatsoever. But because she was doing this in Florida where it was hot and she had to wear nylons all the time, she was like, I want the control and comfort of the top part of the nylons, but I don't want to have to wear nylons all the time. So she took $5,000 she had saved up and she created Spanx. She didn't wait to feel ready. She acted while she was scared. She saw uncertainty not as a threat, but as a possibility. And by the way, she's a self-made billionaire now because she did what she did. So what's your action step here? When fear whispers, what if I fail? Respond with, what could this teach me? What could I learn? And then take it a step further and say, if this works, how will my life be different in 6 months? If you start to change your questions, you're going to change your emotions, and that will allow you to change your actions. So ask yourself those questions and reframe the fear of failure, the uncertainty, as an opportunity. All right? Number 4, take the smallest possible step. Something fear hates is momentum. Because once you start moving, even just a little, the fear starts shrinking. Here's an example. Tim Ferriss, who wrote The 4-Hour Workweek, overcame his fear of rejection by doing comfort challenges, like lying down on the floor of a busy cafe for 30 seconds. The goal wasn't to be cool, it was to prove I can survive discomfort. He intentionally made himself look silly in public situations or put himself in uncomfortable situations to prove it's not the end of the world. So how can you do something like that? What is your action step here? Whatever you're afraid of, break it into the tiniest next step. If you're afraid of starting a business, just buy the domain name. If you're afraid of a hard conversation, just write the first sentence down, but don't send it to anybody. If you're afraid to speak up at a meeting, just ask one question. Just one. Small steps beat no steps every single time. So by taking the smallest step possible, you create a low possibility of failure, but you're taking action and you start to chip away at that fear and anxiety that's eating away at you inside. So just take action. The smallest action will do it. Tip number 5, stack evidence up against your fear. Fear will tell you, you've never done this before. You don't know what you're doing. Your job is to remind it, actually, I have done this before, and I've done hard things before, and here's proof. Sylvester Stallone is a good example of this. He was rejected over 1,000 times trying to sell Rocky, largely because he wouldn't just sell the script. He required that whoever bought the script allow him to star in the movie because he knew he'd written something good. He knew he could play the part, and he knew it was his ticket to bigger or better things. He kept going because he had receipts. He knew he'd fought through poverty before. He'd fought through eviction before. He'd fought through rejections before. And he bet on himself again. So you can do the same thing. You can start a confidence file, let's call it. Create a folder on your phone or in your journal, however you keep track of your memories, your thoughts, your ideas. However you do it, start a confidence file there. And you're going to put in it wins that you've had, compliments you've received, obstacles you've overcome, skills you've developed. Start reviewing that when fear creeps in or anxiety creeps in. It's your personal reminder that you're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. Okay, so let's just recap our 5 steps here real quick, or our 5 ideas here real quick. Number 1 is to name your fear so it loses power. Number 2 is to use your body to calm your brain. Number 3 is to reframe uncertainty as growth. Number 4 is to take one small step toward the fear. And number 5 is to stack your wins and remind yourself who you are. All right? Look, fear and anxiety aren't going anywhere. You're going to have to deal with them your entire life. All of us do. But that doesn't mean they get to run your life unless you let them. It's a choice you're making to allow that to happen. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage means you're afraid and you're moving forward anyways. That's what courage is. You can only be brave when you're scared. You can only be brave when you're afraid. That's all there is to it. And you can be brave because you've done it before. And you don't need to feel brave. You just need to take the next step. Don't confuse those two things. The only time you can actually be brave is when you're scared, when you're afraid. Just take the step. All right? Now look, if this episode helped you, share it with someone else who's stuck. Share it with someone else who might benefit from it. Let's build a community of self-leaders who take action, even when it's hard. That's what we're looking for, right? Thanks for listening to Salty Ginger Talk, guys. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to head over to our website. James puts it up over here every day, saltygingertalk.com. All the podcast episodes are there. Links to all our social media accounts are there. We publish a newsletter every week that you can subscribe to there. And also, please, please, please like, comment, share, subscribe to our channel on whatever platform you consume it on. It's super helpful for us if you're able to do that. All right. Thanks again, guys. This episode's going to air on a Thursday. You're almost home. Hope your week has gone well. Hope you've been super productive. Hope you're killing life. And you got one more day in this week before you get a weekend to have a little downtime and have a little fun time. Love having you guys here on the podcast. Really appreciate you checking us out. We'll see you on the next episode.